We're going to learn about how to create gradients, clipping mask, and how to play with different shapes using the drawing tools of Illustrator. First of all, we need to create a new document. So I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to create another basic page. 8.5 by 11 letter size. And I click OK. Now that we have this basic workspace, we can draw basic shapes with Illustrator. For example, if I go to the basic shapes here, I could go like to the Polygon tool. And I could just click and drag and make a polygon. In this case, the fill is white, while the stroke or the edge is black. Because it's still selected, I could double click here, change the color of the fill, as you can see. And if I go to the edge, I can rotate. I can also click on the stroke. I could double click and change the color of the stroke to any color that I like. I know it's hard to see right now, but if I make the stroke a little thicker, you can tell that it's actually blue. Now, when you draw shapes in Illustrator, let me delete this one. If I click on the shape I want to draw, we're still with the polygon. If I double click before making the shape, I get options. For example, I can have 8 sides. Let's suppose I'm going to make a stop sign. And now we got 8 sides instead of 6 like on the previous one. You can still click and reshape, or with the white arrow you can click a particular dot or point and change that shape to whatever is convenient for you. And here we go, a very abstract looking Pac-Man. And I'm going to delete it. Now, in that case, I deleted just a point because I was selecting with the white arrow. If I use the black arrow and I click, I can delete the full shape. Let's say I'm going to take the ellipse tool. And I can draw one here, as you can see. I could draw another one on top over here. And I could draw another one over here. Now we got something that looks like Mickey Mouse. I can actually make all these shapes work together as one. If I select them all, I can go to the Pathfinder tool. I can go Window, Pathfinder, and the Pathfinder let me do different things with shapes. Let's say I want to make just one basic shape, then I can go here in the Pathfinder to Unite. And now this is going to behave just like one simple shape, because it is. Let's go and do, and I'm going to go to Divide. If I go to Divide, now I created a bunch of new shapes. I could easily go with the white arrow. Notice that I switch arrows. And as you can see, I actually cut this into different shapes. This one below here looks like a baseball now. And I could actually select different ones and change the color for all of them in different ways. I keep switching the colors. As you can see, they're different shapes. Okay. Now, let's concentrate on the lines. The lines can be drawn with the pen tool. You just click and literally drag, click and drag. If you don't want these yellow areas happening, click on the fill and you can delete it by hitting the none. I can still go with the white arrow. Click on this Bezier curves. That's their name. Now, there's a bunch of menus for this, and there's a bunch of options for the pen tool. I can actually pull the menu out if I go to this little arrow here. And I pull the menu out because I want to do a few things so it make it easier. Let's say I don't want this point to be curved. I can go to the Convert Anchor Point, and now it's a square. See, if I go with the white arrow now and I click, I can change it. If I always use the black arrow, I'll be moving the whole shape, which is not what I want to do in this case. So I'll go back to the white arrow. Let's say I want to put another anchor point here. All I have to do is add anchor point tool. I can click there, white arrow, which if you notice when I go to the white arrow, you see the A. So if you hit A on the keyboard, you get the white arrow to show. And I got a new point here. But I want it square again, so I'm going to use Convert. and I hit A on the keyboard. Now I got the white arrow, and I can convert that point. This is very convenient. I can select it all that way, and I can hit delete. Finally, let's say that I'm drawing a shape. Let's say I'm drawing a sphere. If I want it to be perfect, I hit the shift key as I go, let the mouse go, and then let's say I want it to be orange here. Another thing that I can do to make it look more realistically, I can apply a gradient, and this is your gradient tool. And all you have to do is, apply the gradient down here, and then with the gradient tool, you can switch the gradient anywhere you want. Now this one looks kind of weird, it looks flat. When I go to the gradient menu pops out. If I don't see it, I can go to Window, Gradient, and I will come out. Instead of a linear gradient, I can go for a radial one. Radial gradients go that way. And with the gradient tool that I have selected here, I can do changes to it. You can also work on your gradients. You can add more values to it. Let's say I add another one here, I click, and I want a lighter gray, which resembles more like what really happens when you're drawing spheres. And you can play with all these options any way you like, which is super convenient. It's one of the greatest features of the program. You just need to play with it and see what happens. Of course, you can apply color here also. You can always double click and choose a different color. And you can get wonderful effects. It's just a wonderful feature of this program. Okay. The last thing that I want you to learn about is the wonderful mesh tool. The mesh tool allows you to do variations of gradients in specific areas. So you select the tool, you just click on it, and this is what the program makes. That color is not really good for this. Let's go for different examples. So I can select a point, then I can apply meshes. And when I apply a mesh, you get this wonderful, almost airbrush looking things. So this final one is called the mesh tool. And you can actually look for tutorials. There's a really good tutorial with the mesh tool, and I'm gonna put a link on Blackboard for it. In that tutorial, you get to draw a tomato. Very, very convenient. So this is it for now, and this will help you start with your emoji project, which you know is gonna be your next project.